There is a peculiar kind of silence that exists in upscale department stores in the final hour before closing. It's the silence of exhausted mannequins, of sales associates counting down the minutes, of soft instrumental music trying to soothe the collective fatigue of a long week. It was in this specific silence, on a rainy Friday evening at the Evergreen Plaza, that Clara Evans's life split cleanly into a before and an after. Clara was a creature of quiet routine. A senior account manager at a modest marketing firm, her life was built on spreadsheets, deadlines, and the comforting predictability of her 9-year marriage to David. Lately, David had been absent. Not physically, he still shared their bed in their condo overlooking the city park, but emotionally. He'd taken up weekend fishing trips with new colleagues, had more client dinners than ever, and his phone, which once lay casually on the coffee table, was now a guarded appendage. Clara, ever the pragmatist, diagnosed it as mid-career stress. She gave him space. She trusted him. That evening, her own stress was a tangible, throbbing thing behind her eyes. A major campaign had imploded, a junior executive had blamed her team, and the 3 cups of coffee she'd used as fuel had curdled into a sharp ache in her stomach. All she wanted was to replace her shabby, threadbare winter coat, a relic from a simpler time, and retreat into her sofa's embrace. The coat section of La Maison Blanche was a sanctuary of wool, cashmere, and crisp tailoring. Clara's fingers brushed over a camel hair number, then a black wool blend, before settling on a stunning double-breasted trench in a deep midnight navy. It felt substantial in her hands, an anchor. "The fitting rooms are just through there, madam," a young associate murmured, her smile polished but weary. Clara thanked her and slipped into the middle of 3 stalls, closing the heavy velvet curtain behind her. The room was surprisingly spacious, with a 3-fold mirror and a small velvet stool. She hung the coat on the brass hook, shed her own worn jacket, and for a moment simply stared at her reflection, at the faint lines of worry around her eyes that hadn't been there a few years ago. She was about to slip the new coat on when the voices filtered through the partition from the stall to her right. A man's voice, low, familiar, tinged with a smug, conspiratorial glee she had never heard directed at her. "Relax, will you? The hard part's done. I signed for the loan in her name. She won't know the difference." The world did not tilt. It simply stopped. The air vanished from Clara's lungs. Her hand, half inside the coat sleeve, froze. It was David. Undeniably, unthinkably David. A younger woman's voice, a light, tinkling laugh. "You're sure? What if she checks her credit report?" David's chuckle was a dry, cold sound. "Chelly, sweetheart, she doesn't check things. That's the beauty of it. Her credit is pristine. Mine's complicated after that business with the car. The bank was eager. I just had to slide the papers in with a stack of mortgage refinancing documents I told her we had to sign. She just signs, never reads a line. Too busy, too trusting." Each word was a precise, surgical cut. Clara felt them land, but felt no pain yet, only a profound, chilling numbness. She slowly lowered herself onto the velvet stool, her legs incapable of holding her. "So the money's already there?" Clara asked, her voice eager. $50,000 sitting pretty, David confirmed, his voice dripping with satisfaction. "Transferred yesterday. I told her the bank needed her signature for a joint line of credit for emergencies. She bought it in 5 seconds. $50,000. A number that represented 2 years of Clara's careful savings, a number he had stolen with her own hand. "And the trip?" Chloe pressed, her voice eager. "Maui, next Thursday. I've already booked the suites. I'll tell her it's a last-minute industry conference in Phoenix. Dry, boring, all meetings. She'll be glad I'm going." Clara's mind flashed to the previous month, a suppliers summit in Denver. He'd packed a new suitcase she hadn't seen before. "You're a genius," Chloe purred. "I'm a pragmatist," David corrected, his tone turning coldly analytical. "The condo's in both names, but if I play this right, if I can document that my income has been covering the bulk of the mortgage while she's been distracted with her work, a good lawyer could argue for a 60-40 split in the divorce, maybe 70-30. Then it's just a matter of time." Divorce. The word, spoken so casually, so strategically, was the final blow. It wasn't a crime of passion or a moment of weakness. It was a calculated, long-term financial and emotional heist, and she was the mark. A strange electrical clarity surged through the numbness. The pain was there, a vast, dark ocean waiting to drown her, but she could not step into it yet. First, she needed a raft. Proof. Her hands, which moments before had been limp at her sides, moved like a robotic precision. She pulled her phone from her purse. The screen blurred for a second before her vision sharpened. She opened her voice memo app. A large red button glowed in the center. She pressed it. A soft chime sounded. She quickly muted the phone. The red recording circle pulsed like a heartbeat, her words now becoming her evidence.
Very soft, rhythmic, and soothing. "She's so naive," David was saying, a hint of contempt coloring his voice now. "Lives in her spreadsheets and client reports. Thinks the world operates on honesty and deadlines. She has no idea how things really work. No idea what I've been doing right under her nose." "Poor thing," Chloe said, without an ounce of pity. "Don't waste your sympathy. She's comfortable. She has her little job, her routine. She'll be fine. And we'll be in Maui." Clara sat, a statue in the dim light, for 1 minute, then 2. She captured it all. The planning, the disdain, the sheer magnitude of the betrayal. When she heard the rustle of clothing and the slide of the curtain next door, she stopped the recording. She saved the file, titling it with today's date and time, a digital artifact of her marriage's death. Then she stood. She did not put on the coat. She simply opened her curtain. They were 5 feet away, David's hand on the small of Chloe's back. Chloe was holding a garish wed cocktail dress. David was smiling down at her, the same intimate smile Clara remembered from their early years. Then he glanced up. Time crystallized. His smile didn't just fade, it shattered, falling from his face like broken glass. His skin turned the color of ash. His eyes widened in pure animal panic. "Clara?" he choked out, the word a dry rasp. Chloe took a sharp step back, her eyes darting between them like a trapped bird. Clara felt an immense, surreal calm. She held up her phone, the screen still glowing from the recent action. "I heard everything, David," she said, her voice low, steady, and carrying in the hushed store. "I recorded it, all of it, the loan, the forgery, Maui." The blood drained completely from his face, leaving him looking hollowed out. "Clara, please, it's not, I can explain." But there were no words left that could matter. Clara turned. She walked past a mannequin wearing silk, past the bewildered sales associate, her steps measured and sure on the polished marble floor. She didn't run. She exited the store, passed through the mall's grand atrium, and pushed out into the cold, cleansing rain of the evening. The taxi ride home was a blur of streaking streetlights and the silent, shuddering breaths she finally allowed herself. The condo when she entered felt like a museum of a life that had never truly existed. The framed photo from their hike in the Blue Ridge Mountains mocked her from the console table. But the tears that came were not of weakness. They were the necessary solvent, washing away the last of her illusions. When the storm passed, Clara Evans was gone. In her place was someone harder, clearer, and fiercely determined. She went straight to David's home office, a space she'd always respected as his private domain, no more. In the second drawer of his filing cabinet, beneath the folder labeled Tax Returns, she found it, the loan agreement from First Meridian. Bank, $50,000, her name, her social security number, her employer's information, and at the bottom, a signature that was a clumsy imitation of her own. The pen pressure was all wrong. She took photos with her phone. Then she called her older sister, Maya, a family law paralegal whose no-nonsense voice was the anchor Clara needed. "Maya, I need you. David." The story spilled out in fractured, clinical pieces. "Oh, honey," Maya breathed, her voice instantly shifting from sister to advocate. "Don't touch anything else. Don't confront him again. Pack a bag. Come here, now. We go to the bank first thing Monday morning, then the police." Clara was stuffing clothes into a suitcase when the front door opened. David stumbled in, smelling of rain and panic. "Clara, please," he begged, his earlier arrogance completely evaporated. "It was a mistake. I was in a bind. I was going to pay it back before you ever found out." "With what, David?" Clara asked, zipping her bag shut. "With the money you were going to spend in Maui? Or with the money you'd win by taking 70% of our home in a divorce you were already planning?" He flinched as if struck. "You don't understand the pressure I've been under. I understand fraud. I understand forgery. I understand betrayal. The police and the bank can help me understand the rest." She brushed past him, leaving him standing alone in the foyer of the life he had gutted. The following Monday morning, with Maya a solid, silent presence beside her, Clara walked into the First Meridian Bank. She asked for the fraud department. In a quiet, windowless office, a serious man named Mr. Walsh listened, his expression growing graver as she played the key 90 seconds of the recording and showed him the photographed documents. "This is very clear-cut, Mrs. Evans. We will initiate a fraud claim immediately, freeze the disbursed funds, and submit the signature for forensic analysis. You will not be liable for a single cent."
Very soft, rhythmic, and soothing. Next was the police station. Detective Alvarez, a woman with kind eyes and a firm handshake, took her statement. She listened to the full recording, her lips pressed into a thin line. "This is felony identity theft and forgery," she confirmed. "We'll bring him in for questioning today." The legal machinery, once engaged, moved with a slow, inexorable power. David was served with papers at his office. Confronted with the recording and the bank's investigation, his defense crumbled. To avoid a trial and almost certain jail time, his lawyer brokered a deal. He would plead guilty to a lesser charge, accept 3 years of probation, and was ordered by the court to pay Clara $15,000 in restitution for emotional distress and legal fees. The divorce, filed on grounds of fraud and irreconcilable differences, was fast-tracked. Clara agreed to sell the condo, the site of so many silent deceptions. With her half of the equity and the restitution, she bought a small, sunlit loft in the historic district, a space with exposed brick and large windows that held no ghosts. The healing was not linear. There were nights of profound loneliness, moments of anger that shook her, and a lingering fear of being so thoroughly fooled again. She threw herself into rebuilding. She left her old job, taking a position at a smaller, women-run agency where her voice was valued. On a whim, she signed up for a pottery class, finding a deep, meditative solace in the feel of cool, spinning clay under her hands, something tangible she could shape and control. It was at a local gallery showing for her pottery class that she met Ethan. He was a quiet landscape architect, admiring a particularly lopsided vase she had been ready to discard. "It has character," he'd said with a genuine smile. "It fought back. I like that." Their friendship grew slowly, over cups of tea after class, walks along the riverfront. He asked questions and listened to her answers. He spoke of his own past with honesty, including a previous relationship that had ended not with drama, but with a sad, mutual understanding. He never pushed. He was simply, consistently, there. One evening, almost a year after the day in the fitting room, they were walking across the pedestrian bridge, the city lights reflecting on the water below. Ethan stopped. "Clara," he said, his voice soft, "I know your trust was shattered. I'm not here to rush you or to replace anything. I'm just here if and when you're ready for something new, however you define it." Clara looked at him, at his earnest face under the amber glow of the bridge lamp, and then out at the wide, dark, flowing river. The water kept moving, past the pylons, under the bridges, out to the open sea. It did not stop for the wreckage left on the banks. She took his hand. It was warm and solid. She said, "I am ready," and for the first time she knew it was the absolute truth. "Just slowly." "Slowly," he agreed, and they continued their walk, step by deliberate step, into a future she was now designing for herself. And so the river of her life flowed on, carrying away the debris of deceit, smoothing the jagged edges of betrayal. The frantic pulse of discovery has slowed, now matching the steady, reassuring rhythm of a heart healing itself. Let the memory of that cold, polished mall fade, replaced by the warmth of hand-shaped clay, the quiet focus of a new craft. The shocking words trapped in a recording are now just a closed file, their power dissolved by the stronger, quieter power of moving forward. Feel the solidity of a truth you built yourself, the peace of a space that holds only your own energy, the gentle relief of a burden once so heavy, finally set down. Tonight, let your mind be that peaceful river, flowing smoothly, effortlessly. Let any lingering tensions from the day be carried away on its current, leaving only calm in their wake. Your thoughts are soft clay now, malleable, peaceful, ready to be shaped into the quiet forms of dreams. Breathe in the calm of resolution. Breathe out the last whispers of an old story. You are safe. You are grounded. The lesson has been learned, and now it is time to rest. Allow your body to grow heavy, your eyelids to soften, guided into a deep, tranquil sleep by the steady, unhurried current of a story that found its way, at last, to peace. Good night.